and had his own company. And I was working at IBM, and he said, if you're going to be selling for someone, be doing it for our own business. This is kind of silly for you to be pursuing so much when you could be doing it for us. And I was like, okay, that makes sense. And there I learned a lot more about how to even run a business because he was a smaller corporation versus the
Right,
big ones I'd been with.
right, right, right.
And who knew that I would, towards the end of that journey, when he decided to sell, I was looking for some other forms of things to do. And I tried several different things. And the one that really caught my attention was fused glass.
Welcome to the Audacious Living Podcast, hosted by my man, Audley Stephenson, the Odd Man.
Greetings and salutations. Welcome to the Audacious Living Podcast, where our ongoing goal is to inspire and empower our listeners to live their best audacious lives ever. It's always a pleasure to have you here with us, and I truly appreciate you taking time to join us. Now, when we think about making tough decisions in life, it's like navigating through a forest with many different paths. We've got an interview today with Nancy Dillingham, who will shed some light on how she persevered through challenges and embraced new opportunities, just like finding that right path through that forest. Nancy's a former corporate professional who found her passion and fused glass art and opened up a studio business. Her journey showcases resilience, creativity, and a determination to follow her true calling, despite what others might have said. Nancy's experience in transitioning from a corporate career to owning a fused glass art studio perfectly aligns with the theme of making audacious life decisions and following one's passions. It's a great conversation. I'm certain you'll all enjoy it. You may even pick up a few things about fused glass art in the process. Enjoy. Hey, Nancy, thank you for joining me here on the Audacious Living Podcast. It's a pleasure for you to make the time like this. Thanks for doing this.
I'm so excited. I just can't even begin to express it. I'm a bubbly person.
That's awesome. Well, you fit in quite nicely here. Then all is good. All is good. As I said, I think before we got going here, I was just talking about how we encourage to live this best audacious life on this podcast always and often. And I think one important thing to note is that that pathway that each of us take to get to this life that we're looking to lead isn't going to be the exact same. There might be some sort of similarities and things that look resemble, but at the end of the day, your journey is your journey and mine is mine. And so maybe as starting point, Nancy, you can sort of share your journey as to going from the corporate world to now having your own fused glass studio art or collection. Is that correct? Yeah.
Yes. Oh, yeah. It's a more unique. I don't think a lot of people probably have followed this path.
Okay.
I have been pretty much a corporate geek my entire career,
Okay.
and with a few exceptions, my majority of my career has been in the tech industry
Okay.
and being sales, operations, yeah, lots of hats, whether
Mhm.
working on the reseller side, manufacturer side, end user side, distributor side. Um, and I learned a tremendous amount. And each job helped build my path without even my realizing it to the next or a future role. My last major corporate role was working for my husband, who had his own network infrastructure reseller and had his own company. And I was working at IBM, and he said, if you're going to be selling for someone, be doing it for our own business. This is kind of silly for you to be pursuing so much when you could be doing it for us. And I was like, okay, that makes sense. And there I learned a lot more about how to even run a business because he was a smaller corporation versus the
Right.
big ones I'd been with.
Right. Right. Right.
And who knew that I would, towards the end of that journey, when he decided to sell, I was looking for some other forms of things to do. And I tried several different things. And the one that really caught my attention was fused glass. And the location that was closest to me was a branch, and the owner decided to close that branch.
Mhm.
And I'm like, well, what am I going to do now? And my husband, in his supportive way, said, well, you know how to run a business, open your own. And my first gut feeling, because you know how mindset is,
Oh,
mindset
absolutely.
tells you everything opposite of what maybe you should be doing.
Here are all the reasons why it can't happen.
Yes, exactly. So I got out of my own way and told my ego to kind of take a hike for a bit. And let's think about this more logically. And I can run a business does not mean I have to do everything. So I can teach absolutely instruction on fused glass, maybe at the lower end, medium end, but I can bring other people in for more higher end stuff. And while talking to friends, they said, well, you know, the same tools are used primarily in stained glass as well.
Mhm.
And we can help teach the stained glass classes for you. Like, oh God, that would be great. Oh my goodness, this is already coming together. And so I took on a lease, I took on inventory, opened the doors, and 5 weeks later, COVID hit.
Well, yeah, familiar
So you want
story.
to talk about a journey and a lot of self-talk and a lot of a mindset resetting.
Mm. Let's go back because I want to talk just touch on that, you know, that those initial thoughts that come to your mind when you start to embark on something new. What specific things were happening for you at that time?
The job I had was going to go away because my husband was selling the company. We had someone buy it. They wanted us to stay on for a bit because of our roles and what we've been doing and to help the transition. But, you know, I wasn't quite ready to just retire.
Right.
Um, and I am kind of a person who needs to be active, and my mind is very, I kind of call my superpowers troubleshooter, a problem solver, and go for it attitudes. So those two kind of went like ding ding, use your superpowers, use your superpowers. And it wasn't hard to set up a business. I mean, but
Right.
it is if you don't know what that means. So it was funny to listen to my friends who were going to help me teach classes
Mhm.
who have no experience and no idea how to run a business or to start a business. So we had a lot of fun lunches and stuff, all prior to actually doing it. And
Yep.
about the time that my job ended, the need for me was great and it was perfect, and I was ready to move on. Uh, my new chapter was ready to get started.
Wow. Exciting. Did you feel excited at the time?
Oh, I was so excited. I mean, it was scary to a certain degree, but
Mhm.
yet I knew it was something I could do. And I knew that other people would be as passionate about fused glass and working with glass. And even though I knew my uphill battle was just educating people on what fused glass even is, once they tried it, you know, try it, you'll like it, you know, type of attitude. Um, it was a pretty great start.
So let's inform our educated audience on what is fused glass.
Well, I think most people know about blown glass. So, blown glass is very hot and it's constantly moving, and you need to know your next steps. And it's absolutely wonderful to watch. And the Netflix show Blown Away has been a huge success in bringing that to the public's eye even more so. Stained glass is known well for churches and the windows, and fused glass comes kind of in between. So we're making things at room temperature or air conditioned or heated, whatever, you know, we
Yep.
want that temperature to be. We got music going and a very relaxed environment. So it's very therapeutic because you can actually stop when you walk in the door, there's so much energy in the studio because of all the glass and the colors that you feel it pretty quickly. And you just kind of get into the zen and you just kind of start getting into what you're doing, which is building glass on top of glass. So we'll give you a base piece of glass and you cut pieces. We teach you how to do it safely and you start piling. You can do it very abstract. You can do it very methodical. You can do it very kind of any technique, mental, whatever you want to call, you can do it. Um, you have to learn the techniques,
Sure.
and everybody has to start somewhere. So our classes start with cutting straight lines.
Okay.
But after you've done your first pieces, and the first class is for 2 pieces, um, I will then put it in a kiln similar to a ceramics kiln,
Okay.
but the heating elements are in slightly different places. And we go up to about 14 to 1500 degrees in those kilns,
Hmm.
but we're not even in the room. It's a good 18-hour cycle. It runs when the electricity is lower, and
Right.
we come in and open the kiln. It's like Christmas morning. Look at all the really cool things that have come up, you know. Um, and we get very excited. There's a tendency of being multiple people in the studio,
Yeah.
and we gather around the kiln,
Yeah.
open it to see what it looks like with
Yeah.
this batch.
I think the image of the Christmas morning kind of imagery sounds really nice, and I can imagine the excitement. So, is this something that I mean, people do for fun, or what kind of people would be interested in these glass?
And just about anybody.
Okay.
So it's definitely fun. There are definitely mental health benefits. So there are some therapists in town who actually send clients to us to be able to help relax, alleviate some of the anxiety, and kind of find a bit more of a purpose that's positive.
Okay.
Um, it's great for folks who need something else to do. It's great for people who want to meet other people. We have a nice community that's there. Everyone is phenomenal. I mean, it has really far exceeded my expectations on how comfortable and inviting the studio has become. And and then I have people who are experienced and people who know all the techniques they want to do, and we call those our open studio members.
Yep.
And they come in and they're making things, and they will literally, if I'm talking to somebody else, they will literally get up and greet somebody at the door.
Amazing.
I mean, they we're that much of a community that we're all there to help each other. And um, we had a reception yesterday. Once a month, I have different open studio members have a whole month of an art exhibit,
Hmm.
and then we have a reception one day. And
Okay.
yesterday was the reception for 2 of our artists who did it together.
Okay.
And the energy, oh my
Oh,
gosh,
that's
you
awesome.
just want to bottle it.
That's
You
awesome.
just want to go, how do I capture this energy
People, yeah.
and this enthusiasm and this excitement? And it's like, I step back and I kind of just take it all in
Sure.
and go, I had something to do with this. I didn't, it's not all me in any
No,
way,
no,
shape, or
no, no.
form.
That was
I have a little piece of this is because of me. And it's like, wow, wow.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Particularly when you think, if you go back to when you made the decision and you think of the fear and the doubts and all the uncertainties that you had, and then you go and then you jump to this feeling, it's almost worth it, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And part of getting me through COVID was my mindset of, I know I'm doing the right thing. I know I am. When whenever it finishes, or whenever we can get through it, um, it's going to change people's lives. And it has. And I'm not saying huge, but it's making a difference.
Absolutely.
And
They're small, it matters,
and
right? I would say.
yes, little steps are huge
Right.
steps. And it's an amazing, I mean, that's why I'm so passionate about it, because
I
it
can see
makes a
it.
difference. And again, it's something that you don't know about. It's harder to get people to come to the studio. It's harder to do marketing, which I'm learning how to do. That was not a piece of business I knew how to do. Um, Trying to explain it. So it really is word of mouth. It's friends telling friends, friends
Yep.
bringing friends, friends. sharing what they made, and somebody going, "Oh my gosh, how did you do that? How could you, you know?" And my favorite phrase is when people come in and say, "I didn't think I have, or I don't think I have a creative bone in my body," which, by the way, I said too, um, when I first learned it. And when they come to pick up their item of art, like a week later, is what my
Yeah.
recommendation is. Um, and they open it up. I have them do it at the studio if I can, if they have the time, and they look at it, they're dumbfounded. Their face just is in shock. It's like, I made
Made this.
this.
Yeah. That's
And
awesome.
I teased those that had said, I don't have a creative bone in my body, because I said, as of today, you can no longer say that.
Yeah, that's
You
right.
do have creative bones in your body, and you just proved it. And they're just like, I had no idea. I had no idea.
Love it.
Because it doesn't take a lot of skill set, if that makes sense. I mean, you can pick colors that you're drawn to, and you can just take pieces and just lay them out.
Yes.
And then we have samples all over the studio and inspiration, and you can follow what somebody else did.
Sure.
Um, so it's almost impossible to make a bad piece. And
Right.
I say
Right.
that because I've never seen one yet.
Yeah.
So I don't want to say impossible, because that's a word I hate. I
No,
hate everybody, or those kind of words.
no, your point
But
is loud and clear. I get it. I absolutely.
yeah,
No, I know that's awesome. I wonder if, so again, I keep wanting to go back because I did really strong lessons when again, for you, when you made that decision. Did you share or tell anyone? And the reason why I ask is, you'll either have sort of two camps, right? One side will tell you, "Oh my gosh, I'm excited for you. Oh my gosh, it's fantastic. Go do it. You'll be great." You got the other side will go, "I'm not sure. Maybe you think twice. You've never done this before." What? So there. As much as there's some benefits in sharing, there's also some drawbacks too, right? So I wonder, what is it? What was it, your experience?
oh, very much so. Very much that, especially because I'm not somebody who grew up being creative. I wasn't somebody who grew up having all kinds of artistic talents that anybody saw. So it's like, how in the world, are you going to inspire someone else? How could you convince someone else to do this? You haven't been doing it all that long. How could you possibly blah, 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 you know? And I just knew I could. I knew internally, and I knew I was brought on this path that I've been on.
How did you know, Nancy? Tell me, like you've never done this before, right? Like you've never ever done it before. How are you so sure?
I just was. I don't know. It's one of those things where if you stop listening to the naysay and you stop the self-talk and you say, well, what if I can? Well, wait a minute. What if I can? Who says I can't?
That's right.
Where's it written I can't? When you take and start digging into why you can't do it and start looking at why you can do it. And again, I was okay with having somebody else come in and do a lot of it until I was better at it. And COVID ended up being a gift, which is hard to believe, but I had a lot of time to practice and hone and challenge myself, to where by the time people were really coming in with any kind of steady, I really did have the ability to teach much more advanced classes and to be much more um, refined, I guess would be a good word.
Right.
I had actually taught television production in high school
Okay.
in the science department. I actually created my own class for English and social studies credit. Um, so I've always had kind of a logical type of thought process on how to make things work that I think it
Yes.
would be good. And you know what? The worst thing that happens is it doesn't work out.
Right.
I mean, that's the worst thing that could happen. And if somebody wants to laugh at me, let them laugh at me. What do I care? I'm doing what I want. And I'm not asking anyone to have to follow what I did.
Right.
But what
Right.
I do want to suggest is people give themselves a chance to do
Yeah.
what they want to do.
Well, I oftentimes say that when you're trying something new or you're taking that first step, there's really one of two things that will come out of it, right? You'll either succeed at what you've done, which isn't a bad thing, and really that's why you took this step anyways. So you've succeeded, or you've learned a brand new lesson of what not to do, right? So when you try
Absolutely.
again, right? Because when you do try it, you will try again. You now know which path not to go. Those aren't terrible options, one. And quite frankly, you got a 50-50 chance of succeeding. So why not?
Exactly. And did I do everything perfectly initially? No. There were things that I
That's
didn't
perfect.
think, yeah, it wasn't perfect. And you know what? Nobody cared.
Right.
Nobody said, ha ha, told you so. Not one person said, ha ha, told you so. People were like, wow, look what you're doing. Oh, my stars. This is awesome. Wow. And now I have people who I'm now 5.5 years into the business,
Mhm.
and people are going, or 5 years, I guess. Sorry, I tried to rush it.
You'll
At
get
five
there.
years into the business, and
I think
people
you'll
are
get
going,
there.
yeah, I think I'll get there. And so it's like people are going, you know, I was at one of your first classes, and you still give the same information. You give some additional information now, but you still have the same patience. You have even more enthusiasm now, and you still care just as much and are as compassionate as you were the first time I walked in. And they said, you know, we were wondering, we haven't been here for a while. Are you burnt out? Are you overwhelmed? And you're infectious. Your joy and your passion are infectious. And it just brought us back again. We just had things that happened and went on, but we realized we wanted something to do one day, and it was like, oh, I gotta go see Nancy. And that's like, oh,
I love it. I love it. Well, you're definitely making an impact, and I do love the idea of leading with your passion. And because you're absolutely correct, it's infectious. It can have tremendous impacts on it, and then from out of that, there's enthusiasm and the creativity sparks, and certainly in infused glass, I'd imagine a little creativity isn't a bad thing either, too. So there's so many pluses from that. Nancy, for listeners that wanted to learn more about your studio or connect with you, where can we send them?
oh, definitely my website, which is glassarts with an S collective.com. There I've got all kinds of frequently asked questions, things about in the news that have been happening. We have a gallery of things that are not for sale.
Yep.
The gift shop is available, and the gift shop, with another idea I had, is not only my stuff, but my open studio members are also in the gift shop. So we've got over 13 different artists with very different techniques and styles,
Wow.
all available for sale, shipping throughout the United States. And there's over 500 pieces already.
Wow. So lots to choose
So
from.
yes, and then the courses are also on the website. So registration is on the website, and then the classes are actually in my studio. And I know not everyone can come to my studio as much as I would love to meet all of you face to face. Um, there are phenomenal fused glass artists all across actually all across the world, but all across the country, and their open hearts are there as well. I've met many of them. There's a lot I haven't met,
Yeah.
but there is just something special about going and trying it for yourself.
Yeah.
And if you find that fused glass, or glass is not your thing, find something that is.
Yes. Yep.
Find what makes you passionate and happy.
I love it. That's a great message. That's fantastic because there is something for all of us. It's just a matter of looking for it. And if we look inwards first, we don't have to look too far because I'm sure it's there. We just haven't realized it yet. And so what a great message to
Exactly.
close on. Nancy, thank you so much for doing this and being here. Congratulations on finding your path and all the best.
Oh, thank you so much. I love sharing it. And thank you for giving me the chance to share with your audience.
All right then. Back we're here on the podcast, and thank you so much for Nancy for being here. In a world full of uncertainties, her story reminds us that embracing change and pursuing our passions can lead to incredible transformations. Her journey reflects the power of perseverance, creativity, and the courage to take bold steps towards a fulfilling life and personal happiness. For listeners interested in learning more about fused glass art or connecting with Nancy directly, you can find her contact details in the show notes. I'd encourage you to reach out to her and discover the world of what fused glass art is all about, and then unleash your creativity in the process. Nancy offers a wide selection of fused glass art pieces available for purchase in her online gift shop. She's got over 500 unique creations, so it's awesome. And again, this comes from talented artists in her own studio, and really is a treat to walk through. I had a chance and I loved it. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Audacious Living Podcast. I really appreciated your support. If you enjoyed this episode, continue following or subscribing and sharing if you haven't already done so. That's how we connect and reach out to inspire even more individuals to live audaciously. Remember, an audacious life starts now. Until next time, stay safe, be kind, show love to one another, and be audacious.
You've been listening to the Audacious Living Podcast, hosted by Audley Stephenson. If you enjoyed what you heard, be sure to like, subscribe, and share. Until next time, be audacious.